We finally get to see the mysterious man in action, and that kind of went as expected. I mean, it literally told us in the previous episode that she was going to lose to some mysterious man. But the mysterious man from the OP and EDs, I've been kind of speculating for a while now that he's going to be able to kind of warp reality. I mean, the symbolisms of the OP and EDs, he snaps his fingers and things change. So my expectation is that he's able to just kind of, yeah, you lose, and then she just loses. The big question mark that comes from that really is, if he's such a mysterious man, how does he have so much power? And for him to be able to pop up out of nowhere and have that much power, something's going on. I mean, Mickey's like, dude, something's wrong. I'm going to go look into this. We don't even know who this guy is, and yet he has this much power. Nobody knows how he's winning. What's going on? But yes, anyhow, let's get to the episode proper. Yeah, I was really happy to see that we open up the episode jumping right into Queen. The reason why is because for a while now, I've been feeling like we've been jumping around different characters so much and different time frames so much that it's really making it to where we don't really have much for side characters. And to make a really, really good show, having really good side characters is kind of important. And with jumping from Lin Ling over to Yang and then over to Cyan and then now over to Queen, it's like stabilize. And that worked, because in this episode, we've seen a lot of political chess pieces kind of being moved around. Like, Shang's over here, he's going over to Tree Man, he's founding that. You have Rock over here, him going, of course, to MG. All this stuff kind of shifting around at the same time. Mickey's working in the background, he's working with Jin. All this stuff is kind of building up to kind of show the overall story. And I think a lot of this episode is really kind of seeing the evolution of the hero system, or at least the trust system and how people manipulate it. I think this is kind of showing both the fact that we have the birth of fear happening here, which seemed to affect Boa, not just Lu, at this particular time. But anyways, let's get into the episode proper, opening up with, again, Queen going out and doing her debut. We see that she goes to exams, does really great, very quickly, but then she goes to do her graduation speech. At the age of 14, she's graduating from college. And this speech is really, really important, I think, because what it sort of shows me is, because we find out later on that this was a speech that was prepared for her, supposedly. This is a speech that was prepared for her. And it seems like that speech itself facilitated her power. And this goes in that whole, like, orchestrating thing that these people are doing in the background, where they're creating heroes and they're building up heroes and they're seemingly competing with each other. And the idea that Mickey, if it's true that he made the actual speech, or maybe Zen made the speech, somebody made the speech. If they expect that she's going to become a hero, and she's doing her debut, she's out in front of the crowd, she's in front of a bunch of people, what would you want to do? If you know that the powers are based on what people kind of place upon you, she even talks about it in her speech. If the expectation is what people see in you will create your power, what's a great power to have? The power to control anybody else. And so, what was the main key part of that speech that kind of shocked the lady that was with Mickey? The thing that shocked the lady when she was speaking was that I shall one day wear it as a crown. I will achieve X, and I will wear it as a crown. And thus everybody sees her as a queen. And what does a queen do? A queen commands people. What does Queen's power end up being? The ability to command things. Again, it's all orchestrated. And this is the stuff that I really do eat up with this series, that even though it does seem like a very simple action-based type of story, it has all these little bits in there about the mechanics, about how the trust system works, what people place upon you, what the expectation is with that trust creates the power. Again, like I've said before, Yang wanted to become an Isol. He became Isol. Lin Ling wears up all this dress and dresses up like nice, becomes nice. Lucky, they wanted her to live. She gained luck. It's really cool. But yeah, getting into the speech itself, this is a speech that we heard in Lucky Cyan's first episode. It's this idea of wanting to rise up the ranks and essentially abolish the trust system. Now, again, this is not her words, and this is where it sort of gets me a little fearful. If somebody else wrote this, what is the desire for Queen? That she rises to the top. She wants to rise to the top. She has 2 years. She's supposed to get to this position in the top 10. She wants to become X. This is her goal. She set this goal. But additionally, I do see that sort of being still her desire to do that. But how that's facilitated is through the speech where she is now saying, I want to essentially abolish the trust system. It does sort of, in a sense of a speech, it is sort of showing that commanding and strength. And again, for the idea of wanting to create this persona of being a queen and having the power of commanding, maybe it was wrote in there specifically to give this sense that she wants to control things. She wants to essentially be the commanding officer of the entire kingdom to tell what people can and cannot do. And thus, again, that could just be specifically facilitating becoming the power of queen. But it also could be sort of a deeper desire for individuals such as Mickey to one day have her at the top and to control the system entirely. In this speech, she's talking about the idea of not liking the fact that just anybody can become a hero. We've had these many years of heroes popping up left and right, and they're causing problems. Again, with the whole situation with Lucky, a plane crashed, nobody came and stopped it, and they're talking about the idea of the heroes themselves being in conflict. And then they got into the whole thing with the two heroes that were, a couple, and how they had that scandal. There's a lot of talk about heroes, people that have a lot of power that was entrusted upon them with the trust system, and they're causing problems. There's a lot of issues happening. And again, in this speech, she's saying, I want to change the system. Essentially, so not everybody could just become a hero. I want to create some sort of order with it. People that shouldn't have that power are getting power. And as we see with this episode, social media is evolving. There's a lot of talk in this episode about this idea. There's this new social media system, FOMO, that allows people to broadcast from anywhere. A lot of people are gaining trust from people, and they're becoming heroes. They're gaining 14% more heroes every single year. Thus, more people popping up that shouldn't have that power. And so they need to essentially break the system somehow. Now, whether it's Queen's thing, or whether it's Zen's thing, or whether it's Mickey's thing, whoever wrote the speech itself, or at least that part of it, what is the possibility that the reason why she needs to reach X in order to do this is because she needs to be the top of the top? They always talk about how trust kind of raises you up those ranks. And eventually you're going to get to the higher points, you're going to get in the top 10. And it seems like at some point you compete against each other and that claims the top. So maybe trust value gets you in the top 10, and then you have to fight to gain X. If there's the necessity to become X before she can abolish the trust system, it makes me believe that she needs to have so much trust value that she can abolish it by the power that she has, which is commanding. Command, abolish the system. Command, only I choose. It makes me wonder if her ability in the end will be like a queen where she can dictate, thus only I can choose who could become a hero. Only I can choose who has trust value. It kind of makes me believe that's sort of the end goal there. I think it's like some massive conspiracy theory, but it's kind of where I'm going. And the only reason I think it's only Queen's idea here is because it makes me feel like Zen and them wouldn't want this. Mickey and them wouldn't want this. These people make money and gain power with heroes. They're manipulating and making heroes for their own gain. But anyways, cool speech though. Really cool speech. Again, really does, everything about it does define the aspect of, I want to be queen. Again, give me my power as queen, which we do get to see later on as she's actually fighting. She fights once in the episode, fights some random dude that's looking like they're consumed by fear, and he basically tells it to go up. Just says up, and everything just starts flying up. We do see her have that spout with Boa later on, basically says, stand down, stay away from me. And whatever she commands, it kind of happens. Yeah, that poor kid gets chucked in the air, and she's just like up, and everything just kind of floats up. And then she just brings the kid over, and then the monster just splats right behind her, just lets it down without stopping it. It was pretty cool. But yeah, while she's doing the speech, we have the little scene with Mickey talking to the lady, and she's like, yeah, she had guts to say it, which again implies the fact that he wrote it. Getting into the idea that his whole desire here seems to be around, again, manipulating the system in the way that he wants her to sort of stand up as sort of this new lead for this new wave of females, which doesn't seem like it's all one big massive campaign they're doing. Again, these people are just manipulating the system. They're manipulating people with marketing and whatnot. And the idea here is that Mickey essentially creates this new wave of female heroes. The whole selling point, the banner, the marketing is literally, let's make new female heroes. All the banners everywhere, even at some point they show Johnny, he's like, why is everything females? They're literally trying to raise up this idea of there hasn't been an X female in like 2 decades, possibly within that first like 8 years of after the commission. New female rise up, strengthen females, all that kind of stuff. You have Boa, and she's rising up and everything. And eventually Boa goes up against the previous X and takes him down. Yeah, Boa seemed to be a lot of just pure strength. They said that she's like this beauty with strength, and it just seems like her power is screaming a bunch and bringing down an axe. Her whole thing is just strength. I don't know. It didn't really imply what the hell was going on with the other guy. He just seemed like a Superman character, like a nice type of character, but he just smiles all the time. Like, apparently he has the power to make people smile. I don't know. It seemed like there was at some point, it felt like he was trying to manipulate her somehow, and she just kind of pushed through it. And again, just crushed him. But yeah, then we have the scene with Mickey where it seems like he wants to go on to the next stage of his plan, which is to have Boa hand over X to Queen. Now, this gets into I think that speech was entirely him. And again, it does go in the idea that I wonder if the whole idea of abolishing the trust system is on Mickey's mind. Why does Mickey want Queen specifically to go up there? Could it be the idea that he wants Queen to have enough strength that she could actually abolish the system, and then he gets to choose who will be heroes? I think that's what he's going for. I don't see any other reason why he's trying to push to have Queen go up to number 1. Why her specifically? Why not? You have Boa is X. Why does it matter which one of them is at X? Unless the idea is that he wants as many of his people in his organization to be X at some point, thus to have them basically in like the top 5, top 6 or whatever. But yeah, Boa ain't for it. Boa ain't for it. Again, getting a lot of that manipulation from Mickey, showing his nasty boss side and the idea that, you know, whatever I say goes. Talking about the fact that he knows all the steps that Boa took in order to gain the power that she has, which sort of does imply the idea that she has done some shady stuff to get in her position, and he's willing to use that against her. Kind of seemed like a threat there, but of course Queen says, I don't need it. Peace out. I don't need it. Peace out. He's like, no, we're family. I win for you as a win for all of us. All that kind of crap. It's all fiction, whatever. I'm out of here. It does give all indication here that Queen is not somebody that wants Mickey to sort of baby her. This is a girl that has confidence that she's going to handle this stuff herself. She's not going to need somebody else to manipulate the background, even though she took the speech. But yeah, we had a little spout between Boa and Queen. I heard that Mickey wrote your speech. I don't know what kind of relationship the two of you have. I don't know if he's related to you or something else. It does imply later on that Boa does get some information from an intel source, which is apparently who she contacted back when Lucky first arrived. She contacted somebody to do it, which I assume was to get dirt on Queen. And it seems like after the whole situation happened between Queen and the mysterious man and Queen losing, Boa finally got the info that she wanted. And that information seemed to imply that you're his daughter. And that seems odd because I don't know that Boa should know who Zen is. Queen's father is Zen. That's her father. Is Mickey possibly a grandfather, ? I don't think so. Mickey is the boss of this organization. Queen is the daughter of Zen. So unless Boa knows who Zen is and that Zen is very directly tied in with Mickey, that's the only thing I can think of. It does seem like they're very close. No, don't get me wrong. Zen and Mickey seem to be working in the background quite a bit. But again, that's the whole point. Working in the background, not publicly. Who knows? But yeah, Queen makes some comment. Boa gets angry, attacks her. She uses her power in order to make her stand down. It seems like Boa is using brute strength to try to push through the command. And then eventually, you know, little Johnny shows up, distracts her, and almost allows her to take a punch, which seems to kind of throw her off a little bit. This, along with the statement that was made by Queen at the very end of the episode, does give an indication that Queen is just somebody that's not used to failing. Again, this is a girl that puts a lot of effort into everything she does. It does seem like she's very much so a perfectionist. So having a moment like this where she does slip up a little bit is something that kind of bothers her a lot. But anyways, yes, little Johnny pops up. We get to see little Johnny, the little cat boy that I'm sure is going to have quite a massive fandom. He's a good boy. He seemed like a good boy. Yeah, he jumps up out of nowhere, gets involved with the situation. Boa leaves. Queen goes to leave and immediately starts to pull over to Johnny. Now, I have to admit, when Queen started trying to go away and she kept getting pulled back, I very briefly thought that Johnny was going to have the ability to control people's powers. I literally thought that because he wanted to introduce himself to Queen, he temporarily took control of Queen's power and forced her to have to pay attention to him. Like, look at me, command. Like, he's able to command her or something like that. But no, it turns into a joke about the pet, that she just cannot escape the urge to look at the cute thing, which is totally a trope to overly serious female characters. You know, they're the ones that are like too cool, and then suddenly something fluffy shows up and suddenly they melt. They just completely melt at the sight of something cute. But I don't know. It could still be. There's still a chance that Johnny's power could technically be to use people's powers, which honestly should make him number 2 at least. Like, he would be massively OP. But anyways, yeah, too cute. She can't look away. They have a little fun introduction there. He's apparently ranked 15, and he wanted to meet her. They're neighbors now. Let's hang out together. And of course, because she likes this cute thing, she immediately agrees. And we cut to later on, she's literally hanging out with him all the time now. She's constantly going over to his place to hang out with the cute puppy thing. After that, we jump forward to, I think she's like 20 years old at this point. We're 34 years at the commission. They have some news broadcasts talking about the growth of heroes, the ever-shifting management of those heroes, all these executives shifting around. Again, Rock going over to MG, Shan creating the Treeman Corporation. Now, note here, I would assume this is the point in which the whole situation with Isol happened. Because if I remember correctly, Shang was leading MG during that time. And I think what happened there is the moment that Shang died, his son, Xiao Shang, I think the moment that he died, which would be about the time that Yang raises up as Isol, I think that he leaves, forms Tree Man, probably because he knows some foul stuff happened inside of MG, and he didn't want to be a part of it anymore because it got his son killed. And I think at that point, Rock came in and took over, and now he's heading Isul, the new Isul. I think we're kind of getting the details of this parallel story that's happening alongside Queen here, is what happened with Isul. But yeah, Queen's with Johnny. At some point, Lucky Cyan pops on the TV, and then she's cute, and her voice is great. Pops over, and she literally just shows up. That was a cute little transition there. There's something out of nowhere. Queen's face is just like, what the hell is she doing here? Yeah, we had a little brief moment of kind of suggesting the idea that Lucky Cyan gives her some sort of luck, which she quickly kind of shuts down, which again would have been a pretty good idea there. But again, I kind of agree with Queen there that if she won with that luck power, nobody would be able to accept it. And we see by the fact that she loses, everybody blames Lucky. I think either way, Lucky was going to get blamed for whatever happened with Queen. If she won X, people would claim that Lucky did it. And as we've seen, she lost. And what did they say? Lucky stole her luck. It's the dumb thing. Literally what Queen says here happened. It literally happened. But anyways, we cut over to Queen going up against Boa, and Boa doesn't show up. Boa doesn't show up. Apparently, this mysterious man appeared out of nowhere, beat everybody, raised the ranks, and here he is to face off against her. Snap fingers. And it was crazy because you see Queen and she's about ready to go. Like, she gets her staff ready. She's going to do her command. Done. Wakes up, just snaps to it and says, I lost, question mark. Again, completely expected, so I can't really say it's like a massive letdown, but I knew that they were going to be very mysterious about what his power is. I kind of assumed the show is not going to show us like visually what exactly happens. It's just going to be like kept to the secret of what he is. Again, the OP and the ED technically does show quite a bit. This idea of, again, shattering reality every time he snaps, but we'll see. We'll see what actually happens there later on. But yeah, Queen's getting joked on by some random dude on the internet, getting a little bit of taste of failure. Again, another significant sign that this girl's not used to failing. She's always working hard to gain things and always being successful. She's always setting goals for herself, always pushing towards things. This is failure. And we have a little scene with Zin talking to Mickey on the phone. Again, completely not sure where the hell this dude came from, which again is very significant if you think about the fact that every single hero, every person that has trust value, and a lot of trust value, has a significant amount of people that know who they are. Why would so many people have trust value given to this mysterious man but not know who he is? It's a massive question mark. The only thing I can think of is this dude's like from some sort of foreign country. It could be that he's from like some like place out in the middle of nowhere where there's like tribes or something like that, and people like worship him as a god or something like that. And then maybe he just pops up in the middle of the city and suddenly he has, you know, massive amounts of trust value because he got it from these people that worship them. That's the only thing I can think of, unless he literally bent reality to either increase his own trust value, or he's bending reality so that people don't remember who he was. He gained the trust value by being some massive celebrity, and then he bends reality to make everybody forget who he was. I'll be interested to get into who he is. He just always seemed like a very mysterious character, obviously. But yeah, Mickey goes up into the X floor, and there's nothing there. Not only is there not anybody there, but there's like a bunch of shrubbery. Like, nobody's been in there for like decades. The fact there's plants in there is odd, because Boa should have been in there before. Boa was the previous X. Why is the room full of plants? It makes me believe that Boa never went up there, or when the mysterious person took over, he bent reality up there to make it have plant life in it. I don't know. It seems odd to have plants in there. Maybe Boa really liked plants, and so she had a bunch of plants put up there. But I don't think that she was X for very long. Yeah, it doesn't say the year that she became X. The last time they said any sort of year was back when Queen made her speech at college. And then we don't see another year until after Queen meets Johnny. And then it jumps forward a little bit there. But she very well could have been X for at least 2 years. Again, why is that room full of shrubbery? Now, it could be that Boa never went into that room, and she just always worked out elsewhere. But yeah, we ended the episode with Boa being consumed by fear. And again, this would probably be right alongside everything that was happening with Lucky Cyan and Lou and the orphanage. So right alongside that whole area being consumed by fear, this girl's getting consumed as well. And again, seems to be around this idea of, again, she's technically Zen's daughter, but does Boa know who Zen is? Seems like she does. Anyways, cool episode. Looking forward to more. Again, I like this kind of stuff. It was definitely a less action-y packed episode, but there's just a lot of political intrigue, and again, getting into the advancement of social media and how things are kind of growing. Again, what Rock was saying before he eventually does pull the rug out from underneath Yang. This idea that social media it's changing the way that people create heroes now. Heroes were broadcast and marketed, and now social media is allowing anybody to broadcast anywhere, and thus it's altering into how you do that. It's, again, like I've said before, sort of a parallel to the concept of influencers. In the world of Tu Bian Yingxiong X, influencers have power. They become heroes. Just like in our world, influencers gain power through, views and whatnot. They gain actual powers there. And how different companies manipulate that is key. Or, again, individuals. So anyways, hope you guys enjoyed my video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment, let me know if you like the episode. If you like this content and you want to support channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it, but until next time, y'all take care.